we're not a team that stays in shock really for a long time. We put the car on the trailer, put it in the workshop, and checked it out. From an engineering point of view, there were some satisfying aspects to this because we had simulated the situation and we opened the solar array, and what others had simulated, what we had simulated, actually took place. Parts of the chassis that were meant to break did break. And it meant that our safety features actually were working and the parts that needed protection were protected, and it meant that we could repair the car. And that was just a relief. And then we switched into this mode, the Sonnenwagen mode of, okay, this is what we have to do. We have not a lot of time left and we are working through the night. And on we went. We had a plan and we executed. We glued parts that needed fixing. We laminated parts of the aero outer shell that were not safety critical, but you know, you build a car that is really aerodynamic and then all of a sudden parts break, so you need to repair that. And then the electrical department took care of certain mechanical parts of the battery, and then the chassis department went to work and replaced the whole left side of the chassis. And it just, you know, everyone was working on top of each other. There were things that we could paralyze, and it was just like a beehive again the whole night through. And I mean, I love this as part of this team. You go in there and everyone contributes their part, and I think that was a really amazing experience and in a way a good ground to start this race. So day one comes around, and as you can imagine, we are tired. We worked through the whole night. Of course, the drivers of the other cars, they went to sleep, but a lot of us were already physically tired. And yet we still had to get this race started. And we put the PHOTON on the starting line and it worked. We had to do another quick certification from the engineers that we are allowed to go, and we were allowed to go. There was not even a big discussion because in a way they kind of know that if we fix something, we fix it properly, and it was fixed properly, and off we went. into this crazy traffic of Agadir. You know, like Moroccan style traffic where you were not sure how to take the roundabouts appropriately, but then we had escorting police that just guided us safely through everything, and it was just amazing because it's like you see your child walk for the first time, I imagine. You know, you see this car that you worked on for 2 years and it rolls and it's working and it's meant to do what it's doing.
The Solar Challenge Morocco is a 5-day long race starting in Agadir and also ending in Agadir. It's 2,500 kilometers long and covers 5 different stages. On every stage we start at morning, at the first day at 10, at every other day at 8 in the morning, and we have to be in the camp of that day at maximum 7 p.m. So that means if we see during the day that we cannot make it with our solar car because of whatsoever reasons, we have to trailer the car there to arrive on time. That's really important because otherwise for the organizers it was important to not let us drive even when we are in your regular cars through the night, because that could be dangerous on the Moroccan roads through the mountains and through the Sahara, and that's why we need to be there at maximum 7 p.m. So the first stage starts in Agadir and goes to Zagora. That's a 476 kilometer long stage, which goes 1/3 over flat lands because we're starting at the ocean, and then it goes through the Atlas Mountains till we reach Zagora in the desert. And in the first few kilometers, we actually also passed the Chalmers Solar team and the Twente Solar team, which gave us a good motivational boost at the beginning of the stage. Even though, after that we had our own technical problems.
On the first day, we had issues. I think they still stem from the accident that we had, and also with it, the lack of preparation that are actually required for a race, like double checking that your MPPTs are working, that your powertrain is doing what it's supposed to. So I think on the first day, mistakes, errors were still taking place that you can trace back to the accident still and the lack of time that we had at that point. But it was still funny because we were on the side of the road, and I mean, it's like a UFO shows up in a way. You're in the small village, in a Moroccan small village, and all of a sudden we show up, we have to stop for repairments, and not 5 minutes later, we have like 100 kids around us. And all of them are like amazed as to what this is. And it was just nice to see because you come to a different part of the world, and you see that technology even there is like something that can amaze people, that the things that you do are like impressive. And the kids were like really excited and stayed there until we left and went off again after we fixed the car. So it was a really, really cool experience.
Dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Le gusta salir y seducir. Le gusta seducir. Dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Le gusta salir y seducir. Dale chiquitita, dame. Qué bonita que te quiere controlar. Ella dice que me quiere controlar. Nosotros lo vamos a devorar, más. Dime cómo tú te quieres venir, más. Dime cómo nos vamos a conocer, más. Dime, no te quiero solo ver, quiero compartirte. Quiero que te vean y te siguen. Soy un bandolero, le gusta ver una coqueta. Dime cómo suena la pobreza. Sé que tú supiste que tú fuiste la coqueta. Tú siempre fuiste la coqueta.
Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass wir den erst halt einpacken können, wenn wir da sind, weil die sind schon fast fertig mit dem Rahmen. Ja, ey.
Okay, so our racing day is over. As you can see, we are not in the camp because we had too many technical issues. We had to stop too much so that we can't reach the camp in time. We're actually just taking the car into our trailer and gonna drive it into the camp. And in the camp we're gonna look into the technical issues so that hopefully tomorrow we can race through the whole day and show the true potential of our car. Stage 2 started in Zagora and went to Merzouga, and with 551 kilometers it was the longest stage of the whole race. We started at the outskirts of the Sahara while still being in the outskirts of the Atlas Mountains, so we still had some mountain parts where I had some really strong elevations. But after those, you just went further and further into the desert. And that's basically concludes the whole stage.
Yes, ready.
Links.
Sehr gut, sehr gut. Jetzt gerade hoch.
Jetzt gehen wir mit ein bisschen Schwung da den Berg hoch.
Ja, Simon, bist du im Chase?
Rechts, bisschen rechts, bisschen rechts, bisschen rechts.
One of the issues that we had on the first day was that our MPPTs were not feeding the energy into the battery like they were supposed to, which in turn meant that on day 2 already our battery was much lower than we anticipated in our simulations. And that then translated into us going just a lot slower than we had anticipated for that day. And it was on one hand amazing to see because the car after another round of fixing was doing exactly what it was supposed to do, just at a much slower pace than what we had anticipated. And for safety reasons, at 7 p.m. They wanted to make sure that everyone was there in the camps so that we wouldn't drive through the night, even with our regular cars. And that in turn meant that we had to trailer the PHOTON after a certain hour in the afternoon to make sure that we would get to the camp on time. And I think that was a really exciting day in the morning because it worked, and then a little bit of a pushback again because we didn't cross the finish line that day. And for the team, I think it meant that, okay, we need to push even more the next day to make that happen, because it means so much to us every single race day that we want to finish it, and that's what we proved on the third day.
Good morning from Merzouga. The beautiful sand dunes behind us show what landscapes are awaiting us in the next days. I guess we're ready for the third race day now. We're starting here in Merzouga and we're also ending here, so we are driving a loop, and yeah, it's a little shorter than yesterday, so let's hope we can make it before we have to trailer in time at 7 p.m. back here. That all depends on the amount of energy we'll have in the battery, but yeah, we're confident. The car worked perfectly yesterday. We hope it will do the same today, and then we'll have a nice race day.
So yeah, and then third day came and it was just so amazing. We really had a good start, everything was working smoothly, and then instantly we overtook Top Dutch. And I think for us that was like a switch of mentality. Okay, now we're going, now we've got this. And throughout the whole day it was like this. The car was running perfectly, it was doing what it was meant to do, and was going up these amazing mountains. And I think that was really the first time that we were looking left and right and seeing incredible landscapes and incredible nature one side you had rocks and endless desert, and then oases coming up with palm trees and little villages in the middle of nowhere. And it was just like we had time for this kind of stuff, and we had time to appreciate what was actually around us. And yeah, just so amazing to see that the powertrain of the PHOTON was able to get us up these like high mountains. Yeah, it was just an incredible day. And then we made it to the finish line. I think it was, for us, it was like almost winning that day, because we had worked so hard, and finally we got a reward.
Nein, da ist ein Zelt. Da hin.
Bergabfahrt haben echt gar nicht. Das war ja so krass. Und vor allem war das so, ja, jetzt ist es halt runtergegangen und plötzlich so, ja, der wurde so 102.
We arrived at Merzouga really early, which meant that we had a lot of time ahead of us. We could go into the dunes, have some fun there, and yeah, then we came back, prepared our tents for the night, and suddenly, as the sun went down, we saw a dust storm coming from the distance, and suddenly everything was full of sand. We couldn't see even 5 meters ahead of us, and a full-on thunderstorm, including a sandstorm, went through us. We barely managed to secure our tents. The whole team was standing at the tent, trying to keep it from blowing away. And yeah, that was quite the difference to the very happy situation that we had as we were arriving after this great race day. That we suddenly were in this survival mode, where we had to kind of find a solution on how to keep everything safe, keep the PHOTON safe, of course, but also keep all the rest of the stuff safe. So we, for example, we parked all our cars. We took them, parked them around the tents, so they helped us from shielding us a bit from the sand that was coming from all directions. Luckily, after maybe 1 or 2 hours, the sandstorm died a bit down. Everything got calmer. We could see that all our tents were still standing, that we had successfully protected our stuff from the sand. And that meant that yeah, after that exciting but also frightening moment during the sandstorm, we finally had the time to rest, get a good night's sleep, especially if that's yeah, very needed for the team at that moment.
In stage 4, we went back from Merzouga to Zagora, and it was a 447 kilometer long stage where we just drove back towards the Atlas Mountains.
Yeah, so day 4 we started motivated because of day 3. We prepared everything in advance, and it was, you know, another day to race again and race through. And then we were doing a very short, what was meant to be a very short stop for charging. And then we kind of adjusted the car, because you need to, you know, readjust it as the sun is rising. And then Yannis, one of our team members from the structure department, hears a funny noise and is like, what is this? And then he started like knocking the car, which is kind of a way to analyze whether we had some parts on the carbon structure that were delaminating. And then that's exactly what had happened. A bracket must have been hit by the accident, and then through the vibrations of the whole race that we had done until then, and an additional heavy pothole, we we had a bracket that was holding onto a carbon part and was delaminating. And, you know, it leaves us with little to no choice. We stop and we fix again. Gone was the day of racing through, and that was just simply not the option anymore, because it was a safety relevant feature, and at that point no one cares about racing anymore. When your driver could be in a danger, you stop and you fix it.
In the end, I would say it was just the right call to make, because safety comes first in any points. I know we were in a racing situation, and I know it's always hard to make a decision like this, even though when you know the car could be drivable like this, but it was always out of question for us to keep going, because we know if there is something happening, it would directly affect the driver, and we will never take a risk like this. So it was just a very good and just the right call we had to do. And that cost us a few hours. So we couldn't finish this stage. We had to trailer on this day too, which was a little setback after the very successful third race day. But still overall good, because everything else was working smoothly, and when we were driving in a very good pace, and we're really happy with the performance of the car.
Alright, this is the final race day. Good morning from Zagora. We're going back to Agadir today. We're quite confident that we can keep going without trailering today, and maybe we'll get in the finish line for this stage in the first place. That would be really nice. We'll push really hard, show what the PHOTON can do for one last time, and celebrate what we did here after qualifying and this stressful week. I think we will deserve that. And now let's focus on the last day and push.
The last stage started in Zagora again, and we were heading towards Agadir. So this was the final stage of the whole race. We had to go through the last outskirts of the Atlas Mountains to end up in the ocean city of Agadir, where the finish line would be at the airport, not at the stadium, because the organizers didn't want us to go at race speed through the traffic again. On this last day we knew we have a really full battery and we have a car to really pace. So we just took the car and we went off at a really high speed towards Agadir. And the whole spirit of the team was like, okay, this is the final day, this is the final chance to show what this car can do and to show what we as a team can do and to bring it home already. You know, after 5 so long days, after qualifying like this, the whole idea was get this thing over the finish line and say we did it.
Zusammenarbeit! Nach einer Fertigung, die noch nie aufgehört hat! Nach einer Woche haben wir es geschafft! Los! Team Sonnenwagen! Team Sonnenwagen! Team Sonnenwagen!
The race ended at the stadium in Agadir, where it started. So when we arrived there, all the other teams that finished the stage ahead of us, they were already there. I mean, there was the winners of Twente, then there was Agoria, and there was the Vattenfall team. And we arrived fourth on this day, and they were already waiting, and the whole spirit was just amazing, because all of them were also really happy that they finished the race. They were celebrating when we came in, and then our car came, and the rest of our team came, and we just celebrated with them. And it's just what this solar family vibe is all about. And we celebrated ourselves, the different cars, the different teams, our different efforts. And even though we're all from different countries, I think it's kind of bonding that we all do the same thing for a hobby. I mean, we build a solar car and race it on another continent. This is just too cool to be true, and I think everything came loose in this moment. Yeah, we had the ceremony, we got medals from the officials, we jumped around a little bit, danced around a little bit, and that was basically the race. I mean, after that, there were a weekend full of celebrating ourselves, seeing the other team members all over Agadir, and all of the other teams too, and yeah, just wrapping the whole thing up on that weekend. That was everything that was left to do. And looking back now, it was a really good time, actually. I wouldn't miss it.
Timon, with the cap on, we're in reverse. Timon! Thank you. Thank you.
For me, it means to have something that we've created from scratch. Have a car going on a road after 2 years of just an intense experience. I think there were such highs and also lows that are undescribable, and always working together with a team that has exactly the same goal and does not give up, just like you. And then you are kind of in this wave where we're all working towards the same thing, and I cannot think of anything that is as satisfying as that.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
As I started to join the team, what was really important for me, or what was really great about the team, was that it combined the aspects of environment, of sustainability, of environment-focused work, with the student being a student. That was really interesting to get the theoretical knowledge that every student collects during their studies, and brings that into this very practical project. Yeah, we think outside of the box to get not only the best solar car, but also think about the stuff that comes with that, and bring that to life, and show the new generations that solar energy, mobility can be one, but also innovations arise from that transcend not only this solar car part.
Congratulations. 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 Thank you. Congratulations.
The spirit around this team, because nothing seems out of reach. You know, you come in the office and you talk to people and you have a really crazy idea where you think, that's not possible, it's not possible. You get in there, but you kind of tell somebody while you have lunch break, and then they're like, well, I wouldn't say it's not possible at least. And then you come back in office and everybody is like, okay, let's wrap our head around this. If we could do it like this, this could work. And you wouldn't know how many parts in this car started out with a conversation like this. And that's what makes it so impressive to me, to be a part of this team. And this is something I really want to take out of this for the rest of my life. Nothing is impossible until you prove me otherwise.